Welcome back to another fly tying. Today we're tying the red-headed softie. It's a fly I've used all over the world and always and consistently puts fish in the net. So starting with the red bead and partridge hook, go ahead and start your thread right behind the bead. Come in with some ultra sharp Renomed scissors, give them a little cut, and we're going to put the tail in. The tail is pheasant tail dyed red, and start it in. You want about the length of the shank for the tail length, but if you like a longer tail or shorter tail, that's okay. Trim off the waist, and now we're going to bring in some silver wire. I tie it in behind the head, and this kind of, as I work down, it builds a slight taper into the fly, but it's not an overly exaggerated taper. Next, I'm going to trim the tip off a couple more pheasant tail fibers, wrap right down to the bend of the hook, and then take it up in touching turns. And what I really want is as smooth of an underbody as possible. You can see it's got a nice slight little taper to it. Put it in the holder, and we're going to twist it around using the rotary function. If you don't have a rotary vise, you can just go hand over hand. That works as well. And take it up until almost all the way up until the bead, because you're going to cover it a little bit with some dubbing, but I prefer to have a little bit more than a little bit less, and you're trying to make the thorax a little bit too big. Come in and tie this off, a couple wraps, and make sure it's secure, and then we're going to cut off the waste material with some sharp scissors, and then also using the rotary function, we are going to rib the fly as well. So you see I'm pulling the wire directly up the shaft, and that will keep the tail material from twisting out and turning with you as you wrap it up. So give it some nice even spaced turns. About 5 turns is good. You really want to do it counter to the way you turned in the pheasant tail, as this is going to make the fly stronger overall and more durable. Break off the waste wire, or you can snip it off if you have some scissors you don't really like. At this point, I'm going to do a couple turns for a whip finish. Doesn't need to be a very strong whip finish because we're going to come in with another thread over it. Now I'm going to put on some floral orange because this is going to act as the hot spot. Trim off that waste material. And we're putting in some flat pearl for the flashback. Now take this back to about a third of the way down the shank. So you have 2/3 body, 1/3 thorax. I'm going to dub it in with some brown olive, kind of peacocky. You can do this with peacock. You can do this with any other color dubbing. I just like the way this brown olive peacock-esque dubbing, the Hands 335, really looks on this fly. It gives it a nice dark profile to go with the dark red. And bring it over and pinch it with your thumb, and that will keep it in place on the top as you do a couple securing wraps. And then come in and trim off the remainder. Pull out a feather from your Hungarian partridge, and you're going to sweep the feathers up and then cut off the tip. And this is going to give you a V on the feather. And what you do is you hold it on, and you give it a nice couple wraps around, and the feathers are going to kind of splay everywhere. And at this point, you can pull on them and adjust them to your liking and keep them on the top end of the shank, and then pull back, give it a couple good wraps, and those feathers are going to be locked in, and they're going to stay where you want them to. They're going to give that nice wing kind of a pattern silhouette when it's in the water, as you can see there. I add a little bit more dubbing just to kind of finish off that thorax. Give it a couple wraps, and then go straight into a whip finish. And this gives a little bit of a hot spot. If you don't want a hot spot, you don't have to have one. If the fish are kind of scared of that orange, bright orange, this fly fishes really well without a hot spot as well. Come in, trim off, and put a little bit of UV resin on the back. And this protects the wing case. It also secures your wraps on your hot spot. As you can see, as I go around, you get that nice UV glow that the fish love. And that's it. That's your fly. So thanks for coming. Thanks for watching.